Hi everyone, I'm going to be doing some bubble printing today. I know lots of people's birthdays this month and I wanted to make some cards. I thought that would be a fun addition, make them really decorative. So bubble printing is pretty simple and it comes out with some lovely designs and patterns, which is why I like it. Each time I do it, it's a little bit different. And you can make bookmarks or cards. I'll share with you some more ideas in a little bit. First, let me tell you how it works. What you'll need is a bowl or container of some kind, some water, some dish soap, and something to make colors with. So you can use food coloring if you have it, or you can use acrylic paint. So, I almost forgot, you'll also need some straws. I have these straws in my art activity box at home because nowadays, when I'm drinking with a straw, I always use a reusable one. But these, I can keep using in my art box. I can wash them and just keep using them over and over. It's a great addition to my art kit. So, and then you'll need something to do your bubble printing on. I found that heavier materials work better. So cardstock, or you could repurpose old file folders or paper bags, or even a piece of cardboard that you cut off a box that you got in the mail. Anything will work. And of course, if you have printing paper and want to try it, you're welcome. It just might curl up at the edges. You might have to lay it under a book or a heavy object afterwards if you want it to be flat. So here we go. You start with your bowl and you put about a half a cup of water in there. Then a spoonful of dish soap. And stir it up. Set this over there. Now I made some red this morning already, and some blue. And I'd now like to try a purple. So I have some red food coloring. I'm going to add that first. How many drops you use is going to depend on how dark you want the color, and you might experiment a little, trying a few drops and then adding a few more if it doesn't seem to be quite the color you want. Now here's my blue. So I've got the red in there. Now I'm going to add some blue. I want sort of a reddish purple, so I'm not going to put in as much blue as red. Oh, it's looking pretty blue already. I'm going to add a little bit more red. Looks like it might be a fun color though. Let's see. It's fun to experiment with color and see what you get. Now once you've got your color mixed in there, you're going to blow some bubbles. You want the bubbles to make sort of a mound over your dish, about the size and shape of an orange. Here comes my bubble sphere. Now once you've got your bubbles there, you can take your paper or cardboard, and one option is to just press it down right on the top and lift off. You'll get some pretty interesting shapes. Now that's a pretty light purple, but we'll see. I want to show you the other thing. So we tried pressing down to get bubbles, but we can also blow bubbles and then scrape that whole pile of bubbles onto our paper or card. And then you just let those bubbles sink down and dry. They'll make some pretty interesting shapes. Now I think because I wanted just a slightly darker purple, I'm going to add just a little bit more red. And stir it up again. And then I want to show you that one thing you can do is layer colors. So I've got some bubble printing I was doing this morning, and I would like to add some purple to that. So for instance, here's a blue one I did this morning. Do you see how every time I do it, it comes out a little differently? It's one of the fun things about bubble printing. So now I'm going to make my sphere and add it to my blue that I did earlier. I'm going to press some on right there, and I'm also going to scrape a few onto this end. One thing thing I was playing with this morning is see some stick to my straw, and I found that I can actually make some pretty interesting marks by scooping a few bubbles and patting them around on my paper. You see how I'm ending up with a pretty interesting layered effect. Those bubbles are scooping down at the end. Here, I'll turn it over. There we go. And we'll let that dry and look at it in just a few minutes. Now, like I said, I made some blue and some red earlier, and I was really happy with the blue, so I want to do some more blue. Oh, you see how there's some bubbles right here? I could take a piece of card and pick up those bubbles. This is actually just an index card. Oh, fun. It's interesting because the smaller bubbles, of course, make a smaller pattern. So we'll let that one dry too. All right, here's my blue, the blue that I made this morning. I would like to add some of this blue to a pink card I made this morning. Here we go. This is my favorite part. I love seeing the bubbles come up like that. Ah, I do love bubbles. So I'm going to pat a few on the edge here. Oh, and see, sometimes you can press very lightly and you just get a few interesting shapes. Now I'm going to scoop a few onto this other corner and do a little bit of that patting with my straw. There we go. So many different things you can do with it, so many different patterns to make. Oh, I still have a lot of bubbles here. One thing I was thinking this morning is, because I love to read and I'm always needing a bookmark, I could make some bookmarks with my bubble printing too. I'm going to press this one right down on there. Oh, look at that. All the different shapes. Love that. All right, now remember I also made some red this morning. So let's see what this red looks like. Here's a little piece of cardstock that I'm going to turn into a card. So it's got a front and a back and inside. So let me get one of my straws. I'm going to blow a nice big bubble sphere. And I'm going to pat. Depending on how hard you pat, of course, you get different shapes. It's completely up to you, which makes it really fun. Again, I'm going to try that technique I discovered where I scoop some bubbles out, some of the little tiny patterns, kind of spread some of those little bubbles around down on this corner. Huh, fun. Making some pretty interesting shapes there. Here's the one we did a few minutes ago. I like the way that's turning out. And this blue is almost my favorite. That's going to be a nice bookmark. Yeah. Oh, I have all these bubbles right here. Let's see what I can do. Oh, I wanted to show you. I was thinking that you could also add bubbles to a drawing you made. And earlier I was playing around making this little dog. Maybe he needs a friend that he's talking to. So maybe another little dog on this side. I'm going to make a dog with a big ears and a little eye peeking out. I think they're both wagging their tails for sure. Two funny little dogs. Well, I'm going to add bubble printing to this picture of my two little dogs. Isn't that fun? So I still have a few bubbles on the top of my blue. Maybe I'll add some blue to my dog picture as well. And then later, if I want to, I can go back in and add some other things to that picture. Let's see, what else was I thinking about doing? Oh, I know. So once you've done your bubble printing and you have lots of interesting shapes and colors, you could take one and make a picture inside the bubbles. I was thinking that this one would be nice to have a little cat peeking out of the bubbles. Maybe this little cat is sitting and thinking, and maybe all these bubbles are her thought bubbles. Maybe I could write meow in some of it. She'll have some whiskers and some eyes, of course. Her little nose. There. Can you see it? She's just kind of peeking out. Maybe I'll write meow in one of those little thought bubbles. Meow. What would she be thinking about? Maybe fish. Cats do like to eat fish, so I'll draw a little tiny fish in one of the bubbles. Maybe a little mouth there. Maybe there's a little fish in her bubble, in her thought bubble. Nice. So those are some ideas of the different kinds of things you can do with bubble printing. Oh, and I did start some of these cards. This one had the purple bubbles, and that's how it ended up looking. And I might just, while I have this blue and red out, add it to my purple bubbles on this card. There's still some bubbles up on the top of this. I might just dip the edge. Oh, you see? Then I get a few on the corner. And maybe some blue up on this corner. I think I might need a little more height for my bubbles. There we go. Now I have room to put some blue. Ooh! Oh, look at that. Isn't that fun? So, once my bubble printing dries, I can add, like I said, I can add some pictures, maybe of a dog or a cat or whatever I'd like, right on the front of my birthday card. And then I can write a nice message on the inside. It might be fun even to have a few bubbles on the back of my card. I have all these bubbles just ready. Ha! That blue. Isn't that a wonderful color? Ah, maybe a few of these. So fun to experiment and play. Thank you for joining me today. I'd love to see some of the things you do. Share them with me. You can maybe share them through your parents' Instagram or Facebook, or maybe in the comments below. Take care. I'll talk to you soon.